of Elsewhere. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to this special recording. Hello. We are collectively the Explorers of Elsewhere. Hello. You might have seen some stuff on this channel already. You might not have. If this is your first time seeing us, then hi, welcome.
Also, spoilers.
Spoilers ahead, yes. So, if this is your first time watching, then perhaps go to episode 0.5 and story so far, and 28 episodes later, you can watch this, and then we won't spoil you. But yes, my name is Dan. Hello, I am the DM for the Explorers of Elsewhere, and just to kind of kick things off, to my left, we have.
Hello. My name is Anton. I have been playing D&D for around about 6 years.
Mhm.
And I actually started playing with Dan and Julia. We had a, what was it called? Prince of the Apocalypse campaign that we ran. And then we went on to Dragon Heist. And I think this is now our third campaign together. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds
Sounds
about
about
right.
right. Beautiful.
And yeah.
And to my right, say hello, Elle.
Hello, my name is Elle. I started D&D some years ago, but I still play like a noob because I forget things.
The best way to play.
Exactly, living by the seat of your coattails or whatever it is. I got started through Carl. This is my second ever campaign, if we consider this to be one beautifully long campaign of lots of different things. So yeah, I first got into this through Carl, who we used to work with, and who set up a in-work campaign. Liked it a lot, got invited along to this one. This was during lockdown, and got into the big bad world of online D&D gaming. And have continued my great skill of never learning anything.
Perfect, wonderful. So next up, down there, say hello, Julia.
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm Julia. As Anton mentioned, I also started out. My first ever campaign was with Dan and Anton. Although Dan, you'd been playing for considerably longer than either of us at that point. I got into role-playing games via the Adventure Zone D&D podcast and really loved it. I'd been listening to their podcast, My Brother and Me, before that, listened to their D&D show and thought, this is amazing. And so then when I saw a new game was being set up in my local area, I went along just thinking, I'll watch. I'm quite busy with my job. I'll watch.
That's right.
And first thing that happened was our friend Jake, who was also in that group, just sort of slid a character sheet across the table at me and said, why don't you just fill this in now you're here? And never looked back. Yeah, that's me.
And there we go. So next up, right down below, say hello, Carl.
Hello. I'm Carl. I have been playing D&D for well over a decade now. I've literally forgotten how long it's been. I started with a one-shot of Feng Shui. I then ended up working with a particularly mischievous person who got me into playing more regularly, where I think I was the most punctual member of the team. I don't think I missed a single game for like 3 years apart from holidays.
It's because he never left.
You get an award for that.
I yet to see this award, this promised award. I've ended up running my own games. Obviously, Elle mentioned that I introduced her to it and brought her here. I also am the host of the Tavern Between Dimensions podcast,
Yes.
here on the Explorers of Elsewhere channel, where you can find Dan and Anton.
That's right.
So, yeah, that's another thing worth checking out. We just talk about all manners of running a tabletop RPG game.
Very, very good. And next up, say hello, Tilda.
Hello, I'm Tilda, and I just had to text my first ever DM to check with him when I first played any kind of tabletop RPG, and thank God he remembers like to the dot. and it's been 7 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that I've been playing in not just Dungeons and Dragons, but all kinds of different tabletop RPGs, and it's been just a lot of fun.
Beautiful.
And I have no idea how I got involved with this one.
Probably through me.
Yes.
Yeah, I probably should blame you for this one.
And last but certainly not least, all the way down there. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, yeah, I'm Matt. I think I'm fairly new as well. I've always played tabletop games, but only tried role playing. I think probably just before the pandemic or at the start of the pandemic, and yeah, started going along to a few infrequent sessions, and then joined Dan's Shadowrun game, and started DMing myself. Yeah, and I'm full on hooked now. It's been a very slippery slope.
It's a powerful drug, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm hooked.
What we're saying is Dan is basically the gateway drug to
Yes.
D&D.
Yes, I was such a well-adjusted person until I met Dan, and now
I know, right? You know, I was fine until I met him.
hiding in dark gaming rooms in a long coat. Yeah. So yes, that's you lot. Yeah, I'm Dan. I run everything here. Yeah, I've been playing RPGs. I was thinking about it for about 13 years. Various games, various systems, and I've kind of loved every moment of it. Yeah, first started playing with Carl back when we were both down in Brighton, and yeah, it's just kind of had lots of fun, told a lot of stories along the way. So yeah, the whole purpose of this video, you know, to kind of get to know us, this is to celebrate the fact that this little channel hit 100 subs. Hooray!
Yay!
Hooray for us!
Sub video.
So yes, we thought we'd actually kind of properly introduce ourselves to anyone who is along for the ride, because you've already watched us go through trials, tribulations, tears and laughter. It's been an emotional journey, I feel. But I mean, that's pretty much us as players. We have just wrapped up episode 28 in the Cormier campaign, the Echoes of War campaign, which has also wrapped out our level 9 segment of the story. There was a bit of a shake-up at the end of that episode.
Yeah.
But I say now we know who the players are. Let's kind of dive in and see. Let's talk a little bit about our respective characters, kind of where we are, like where we've come from, where we think we're going, and let's shake it up and start with Elle first. Tell us about Slate.
So Slate, the changeling druid who never really wanted to be a druid, but over time has grown to love what they do, kind of got into the adventuring side of things just as a way of kind of rebelling against their kind of upbringing. Now, having gone through this kind of whirlwind of everything that's happened, all the different kind of responsibilities and everything that come with, you know, helping people, being more aware and actually kind of getting involved and becoming part of a group. You know, part of the whole thing with Slate is that they grew up as kind of a one-man band, well, two-man band. To then actually be part of a group is learning how to cooperate.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always, you know, we're working that out. So a lot of it is kind of figuring out what to do, and why to do it, and not just to do everything for themselves, which is always a difficult thing. But having gone through all the kind of good crap, but you know, the stuff that can really, you know, take it out of anyone. I think, you know, adventuring is wonderful, but you know, it's a lot for any kind of person to do. I think it has, especially becoming basically half a parent unwillingly, and all the different things that come with, taking on friendships, responsibilities, something that Slate hasn't gone through.
Okay.
It's just, winging it.
Okay. Well, just to keep him on his toes, Matt, why don't you give us a quick rundown on the life of Zumbo?
Yeah, so he's a more recent addition to the Warhounds, and I guess his initial persona is one of kind of swaggering overconfidence. No fears, no doubts. Always knows exactly what he wants to do, and yeah, very much the sort of the leader. As he's kind of got to know, the Warhounds, his journey's been a bit of opening up, being vulnerable around them, letting them know what he's afraid of, which is quite a lot of things, and letting them be part of overcoming those fears, which has been a real high point for him recently in confronting some of those things.
I mean,
yeah, so he's sorry, go on, Tom.
No, just are you counting the bathtubing incident as being part of the journey?
Absolutely, yeah.
One of the pivotal
biggest
parts of the journey. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, that was what I was going to mention as one of my highlights of Zumbo's journey. Actually, is
The bath
All right. Well, tell you what,
bath scenes.
we'll come back to that bit. But where with everything that's happened by the end of episode 28, where do you see Zumbo going as we head towards the end of the campaign?
Yeah, it's interesting because he's before episode 28. I would have said he's on a real high point. He's kind of confronted his main fears. He's confronted his patron. He's got all his crew around him. They've got a boat. It's all going swimmingly. And then with spoilers, but with what happens with Badger in episode 28, that's going to be quite a big thing for him. He's already lost one crew, and this is losing another crewmate, and one he's grown to be quite close to. So that's going to be something big for him to explore with the Warhounds, I guess, the remaining Warhounds.
#flowers.
Gonna tug at those heartstrings. Well, it's good that you piped up, Anton, because next up, give us a little rundown on Balthazar.
Next up is not me. I'm actually going to read out the way I proposed Balthazar to Dan.
Okay, yeah.
He was like, what? I wrote, so at the moment I have this idea as a character. A halfling stuck in a warforged body, war wizard, archivist, arcana, cleric of a Zuth multiclass into druid. And Dan just went, what? What are you talking about?
I mean,
when it's spelled out like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, basically, he's a halfling stuck in a warforged body that used to work on magic stuff. And Balthazar's journey has been all about self-discovery. So finding out who he is, what his past is. And he's sort of reached that point where he actually knows who he is. And it's also been about bravery. Because I don't know if you remember the first few battles Balthazar was in. He was terrified. Or
he was, yeah.
Anything would happen, he'd be like, "Oh God, I don't." Oof.
He was acting like a small, vulnerable person, but in this huge, indestructible metal body. It was
That's
amazing.
Right. And now I kind of let him loose. Now he's kind of, let's go. We can do this.
Especially when it comes to tentacles.
Yeah, tentacles. So it's really, really fun exploring that and letting him be brave and discover this new dimension of his. Yeah.
Cool, very nice.
I think just with Balthazar's discovery, it's been quite a sweet. It's obviously very sweet, but there's also it's kind of like watching. Balthazar's a new, not just a new character to the campaign, but like a new person. Basically, it's rediscovering, and so the discovery. It's like watching a child learn about the world. It's getting to kind of take that magic with.
I love how everyone thinks Balthazar's like the baby of the group. Spoilers here. Balthazar's distinctly middle-aged. But
I don't think the age would do anything with that. You could be the most ancient being, and you would still be the baby of the party because of how you started. You remember those
knowing
moments,
who you are,
and the voice,
Yeah.
and the voice. So
and the voice.
That's Balthazar.
The thing I love about Balthazar, Anton, is the way the way you've actually played him mechanically has changed as his character's developed. So like like you say, in those first few combats, you basically like you would cast light, and that would be your contribution, or you'd hide somewhere.
Yeah.
Even though like we know you can do all this other stuff, but because Balthazar wouldn't do it. But then like more recently, you've been casting like Spirit Guardians or whatever, and he's just been running into the middle of things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
It's
also
been really
have to
cool.
be very fair to Balthazar. One of the first big fights, it took him into Invoke the Dragon, and he is very flammable.
Yes.
better stay away
It
from
just
that.
kind of, for me, it kind of reminds me of like any kind of, again, sorry to go back to the puppet baby. It's a cute thing, you know, but it's just like there's the stick waving is kind of like running in, just not like, you know, like an elephant that's kind of figuring out how to use its trunk sometimes, and that's, you know, learning your magic is just kind of like, it's natural, but it's still.
He does wave a stick around, so he's not very credible as a threat. You know? But there is an ominous side to Balthazar, which I'm looking forward to discovering in the next episodes. There seems to be more than meets the surface.
Yeah, Balthazar's story is definitely not finished. Okay, speaking of running in, waving a weapon around, Hiram, what's his deal?
Pain Train.
So Hiram is my half-orc paladin who went through a bit of a gear change somewhere in the first part of the campaign, when he went from just this paladin having some issues with his family and plenty of other issues to becoming basically a single dad.
Yeah,
That's true. There has been some of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I have to admit was very, very conscious, because when I came up with Hiram, I just finished playing the first Dishonored game. So my squire being called Emily is a very conscious
I
choice.
see it now. I see.
But there is a bit of a Last of Us vibe with him and Emily, and season 2 has definitely put the spotlight on that relationship.
Yeah.
In
I mean, that whole.
Emily has become a bloodthirsty murderer. That's
I mean, she's always been a bit of a bloodthirsty murderer. It's just we have
She's
been
just-
trying to shape it into the right direction.
She's becoming efficient at it.
yes.
Yeah. I mean,
I think she's.
we did leave her alone with the two potential rulers of Cormier.
Yeah, we need to
So
see how that
hopefully she
plays
did
out.
guide her well.
I think Emily's growth is interesting to watch as well. I mean, it's shaped Hiram. Hiram's shaped Emily, and I think it's really nice being able to have that kind of side character, because Hiram's obviously grown from the comfort and everything of kind of being a little bit awkward to like confident because of Emily, because he has to look after Emily in some ways. You know, the fear of losing her made Hiram more conscious about
For sure.
that kind of thing.
I think it was definitely a combination of losing her already once, but also having gone through the whole debacle of his family being kidnapped and almost sacrificed, them being put to trial, and the fact that the Warhounds were there for him through all of that definitely helped a lot in him being a bit more open and a bit more trusting towards the group.
Yeah, for sure.
Season 1 life.
Wait, I have a question for Hiram, and this might be, who other than Emily, who is Hiram closest to? And I'm kind of interested to.
Well,
to
funny you should
get
say it about
into that.
it used to be Magnus, just because they were the first two to join the Warhounds, which is why he was so bitchy with him when I met up again. He took that very, very personally.
Yeah.
But I think in season 2, I'm gonna say Badger, just because Badger was the one who helped him the most when he had his panic attack, when he tried to work through it.
Yeah, that's true. They had some good moments this season,
Yeah.
didn't they? Yeah.
Zombo, I think, was a very strong contender until the bathtub incident, and Hiram is now traumatized.
We're gonna have to give some context to that episode, I think.
No context.
Yeah,
No context.
we'll let Matt wrap that bit up in a bit. Going along then, Carl, run us through Katya.
Katya is unfortunately someone who hasn't had control of her own life for quite a while. Her mother was basically put into indentured servitude, and that was inherited by Katya. So by the time Katya escapes and meets the Warhound, she's very untrusting. She has an agenda, and it did put her at odds with the Warhounds in the pre-YouTube stuff when she set fire to one of the taverns owned by the woman who basically enslaved her, Ursula Boatwright. She didn't tell anyone she was going to do it. She kind of just did it, and yeah, let's say. Yeah, it was a very cool moment, but feelings were hurt.
The drama llamas were on
Fiery tension.
Yeah.
But it also awakened sort of psychic powers, so she's now been developing those over time, so she's been getting stronger and stronger. And after what happened in episode 27 with the death of Ursula, she's going to sort of see the world differently now because Ursula's empire will have collapsed. She'd be able to now go to Sazale as a free person. Like, no longer have to hide, no longer have to worry about being discovered, and hopefully liberate all the people that's been held back. But she's my most chaotic character I've ever played. She's
Fierce, I think.
fierce, yeah. But she's also very loyal, and I think that's been built up over time. Like, she loves the Warhounds. She now sees them as a family. She sees them as her friends and everything, and they've helped her more than she ever believed they would. And you know, she's gonna definitely feel the loss of Badger. She'll definitely do what she can to make sure Badger's song is remembered, as she will with to put it up at the great heights of the Ballad of the Warhounds. As she will for any of the Warhounds if anything happened to them. But yeah, she's going to feel Badger, I think, for a while. But she's also going to be getting used to her newfound freedom. And she's also has a pet as well. But I don't think Drool has really contributed to the plot in any great way. He's a Mastiff, and I don't think he's ever done anything quite on par with Emily, except being a noble steed to both Zumbo and Badger.
Yes.
I was strongly tempted to take the mounted combatant feat for our level up.
Do it.
I would love that.
And approach
Amazing.
Katya about a permanent loan.
She'd be happy. Drool would be happy with that as well. I could
Oh,
imagine
gosh.
you running in,
That'd be
activating the Mystic Shield.
Yeah.
I mean, we consider that, Matt. That's what I'm saying.
Dress Drool up as a pirate ship. And
Yes.
and you just ride them around Cormier.
Yeah, she's also.
Oh, yeah.
I would say she's also been like the first time I've ever played a spellcaster, so that was like a big learning curve for me. And to be honest, since doing it, I understand the appeal of spellcasters now.
I think you did play a bard before. You played a chaotic evil bard before.
Oh, wow.
In a one shot, so I never really got the experience of the bard like this. Now at the time, seeing the growth and how the abilities work, and in that one it was just like you're level 5, go nuts. Now over this time, I've discovered, the love of it, like choosing the spells and the power creep.
So her name's cropped up a couple of times, but hello, Julia.
Hello.
Tell us about Badger.
Oh, Badger. So, Badger came about because I just had this image in my head of how hilarious would it be if you had a monk that was also a gnome who would just kind of fly at enemies in a flurry of punches and kicks and then fly off again. I just thought that was really funny. So that's kind of where it started. And I kind of knew I wanted her to be very cheerful and sort of happy-go-lucky, and also that she really loves helping people. And I think kind of most of her arc has been this sort of journey from wise but still quite naive about the world, the realities of the world, to somebody a little bit more worldly, and it's been a lot about taking responsibility as well. So becoming a leader, which didn't really come very naturally to her at the beginning of the campaign. When we started the YouTube series, she'd recently been sort of informally chosen by the Warhounds as their leader and was a little bit nonplussed by it. It was a bit like, oh, really? Oh, okay, I'm not really sure what that means. Do I have to? And by the end, I think her arc had very much been about taking on that role and kind of beginning to understand the importance and the weight of that role. And it kind of helped her really come into her own as somebody who helps others, because actually I think that was actually a really good role for her in the end, and she really grew into it. So yeah, I think that was sort of the majority of Badger's arc. And there was also a bit of stuff with her Githzerai spirit companion,
her lodger.
Her lodger, Azeroth,
Living
exactly.
rent-free.
Yeah.
Rent-free, exactly. And just kind of, I think they learned a lot from each other. Him with his kind of stoic individualism, and her with her kind of more sort of chaotic, sort of carefree,
Empathy.
sort of empathy and social concern. I think they kind of learned quite a lot from each other.
Yeah.
So
because I feel like in the tail end of episode 28, kind of Badger and Azrael both kind of came to learn like the true extent of like responsibility, but from wildly different angles, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It was really interesting. So yeah, I've really enjoyed playing Badger. I think it would have been really interesting to see where she went next. But no, I think given that I was having to bow out of the campaign, I think the ending you gave Badger was really amazing. And so yeah, I was really grateful that it had so much weight and reverence to it, but also felt really fitting as well. So yeah, I really loved that.
Thank you.
I definitely think Badger tied the Warhounds like together, and she toughened up by doing that, having to make the hard decisions, the hard choices, and wrangle all these different people together. It was really cool to watch that kind of evolution of Badger growing and taking that whole responsibility.
You did feel like the sibling that all the other siblings get on with, like the only one.
Like everyone gets on with Badger, right? Whereas,
yeah, absolutely.
Some other characters might be slightly at odd.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out as we kind of go through level 10.
Fight.
Also, can I just say, because you called Azeroth the Lodger, we really missed out on a fantastic sitcom of Badger, Bodger, and the Lodger.
I mean, there's always one shot in there.
Make it a one shot, yes.
Yeah, but Bodger, of course, for the benefit of the viewers, being the counterpart to Badger in the Ward Dogs, which is our kind of mirror group who keep showing up. And when we get on to favourite moments, I think they're going to have to feature because they are a lot of fun.
Midnight Raven!
Well, it's good that you mentioned that, Julia. So, we've spoken about ourselves, we've spoken about our characters. I guess, Julia, if we start with you and work our way back, like, what has been your favourite bit of the campaign since we moved on to YouTube?
You can't expect me to choose one favourite, Dan. That is quite unreasonable. I've got a few.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, the War Dogs. I think it's a bit like in Shaun of the Dead, where they come across their more competent counterparts in the alleyway. It's a little bit like that. Although whether they're more competent is debatable. They're kind of the sort of equivalents to us. That's been a lot of fun. To sort of deviate. I mean, it's not really a deviation, but we were playing different characters. I've really enjoyed the Blue Dragon one-shots that we've done. I'm sort of getting that opportunity to play a different character, being having a completely different mindset and mission, being these disciplined military types who find themselves running through sewers and things like that. That's been really, really good fun. And I think as Badger, I've enjoyed just kind of seeing the interplay between different members of the group with one another and the sort of the different relationships, and so how kind of an interaction with Hiram would be really different to an interaction with Katya, or like it's just been really nice, I think, to see how we all play off one another in different combinations. particularly the kind of power struggle between Zumbo and Badger. I would say that kind of that tacit. Well, I'm the leader. Obviously, it was like, what are you talking about? I'm the captain, and it's just that kind of how we kind of came to an understanding with one another over the course of the campaign. That was really lovely.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm gonna be forever disappointed there was no like big last big kiss on the ship before Badger died.
I'll tell you what. When it was just Badger and Zumbo left, Matt, I'm going to be honest. I was expecting you to argue with her a little more before you disappeared off. I thought you were going to be like, I'm the captain, I get off the ship last. But no, there was none of that. It was just like, all right then, see ya.
Especially because Dan kept asking like, hey, what's on your mind? Is there anything you want to do?
Yeah,
like,
I think
I want to die.
in like after the session, I was just like, oh, I wish I'd made more of that. But in the moment, I'm just like, as a player, I'm just like,
you
I'm
probably
panicking.
wouldn't, to be fair, would you? On a crashing airship.
It's
I
fine.
imagine it's something that's going to haunt Zumbo, isn't it?
So that's it. That is something that he can then channel afterwards, I guess. Whereas if he got to say what he wanted to, maybe it would have been less interesting in the long term.
Re-edit and insert that segment back into it. We will just remake it.
No, that's what fan fiction is for.
Well, I was going to say it's still a better love story than Twilight, so...
True.
It's a low bar, yeah.
Elle, what's your favourite bit of the campaign been?
Well, yeah, as Julia said, it was quite fun. I mean, I'm not a fan of playing a rogue. I feel like where Carl says, like, with spellcasters, I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh, where's all the bits, the easy bits that kind of help to make it, like, I think for some people like me, less resourceful people like myself, we rely on those kind of like little plots and ploys that kind of work so well, rather than being like, oh, now I've got to use my brain. Not as fun, but like actually the things that come up on those kind of sidebars kind of really help. I like when you get those little tie-ins. The sewer chase is one of those ones. I think anytime that there's a chase, it's the graphics showing that there's something going on. I think it really also helps to really keep the pace going quite fast, and it is much more about how you react in that moment. So I find that quite interesting and fun. I know I said this before, but again, I will say anytime that Jick is involved, a little bit of chaos magic.
Yes.
No.
Anytime.
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's just fun, and I think. Sorry, again, I will probably mess this up. It's always the Githyanki and the Githzerai that I mix up, but I think it's the Githzerai, wasn't it? Where we went to the castle? No,
Yankee.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is going to that fort was actually, it was so tense, and it was so, it was so, like, it's a lot hung on that at the time, it seemed, and so those kind of things can really build up. And then just bits and pieces that come in, like, for instance, when Balthazar went to his room for the first time in the World Serpent Inn, and it's just kind of empty, and it's, that kind of thing, it kind of just goes, oh. And it's just fun to watch that. I mean, it's sad, but, like, if it's giving you feelings, then it means something, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it was, the idea that as Balthazar was getting his memories back, the room was filling out, which
Can I just add, Elle? I think Slate is probably my favorite character out of the Warhounds. Sorry, everybody else. But
I think we all agree.
One of my favorite things is whenever Elle chooses Wild Shape, because it's always just not quite what you expect, but it's always just fantastic.
Like the random little bit of chaos that Slate adds to the game is for me just perfect.
You should have seen. You should have seen her bard in my game. Like, if you thought Slate was chaos.
Oh boy, I've only heard stories, but my god.
So yeah,
It's the first game. I mean, there's only so much. I really struggle to divorce the character from myself. I try, but it's hard. And there's a lot of like learning that goes into it. But it's always a little bit difficult. But yeah, I think most of it is just panic.
I mean,
in a good way.
Again, that's the best way to role play. Anton, what's with Balthasar being relatively new to the team, what's his favourite bit been? What's
So I
your
think one of
favourite
my
bit of the campaign?
favorite bits was meet the parents, or the birds and the
Oh.
bees talk.
that was amazing.
The nuts and bolts talk.
chat, where Balthazar gets to meet his gnomish parents and say, "Well, wait a minute. How was I made? Could you explain to me like how it works? Like, did you make me?"
I mean,
Like,
every so often I go back and watch that short.
Oh, it's very
that's
good.
that's one of the scenes we turned into a short, and it dawned on me. Like, should I be worried that I can just slip into that kind of gnomish conversational voice so easily?
You did the back and forth perfectly. It was like a three-way
Oh, it was
conversation.
so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So enjoyable watching Vert and Mixie kind of do their thing. Just the
also
questions
say-
always. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Should we do fantasy? No, I don't think we should.
Subscribe
Is that the way it should be? Yeah.
But I also have to say the fact that they were a bit worried made me like
Yes.
extremely worried because they are so unflappable. Like anything, like oh yeah, you might blow up later. And they're just so nonchalant. So when Balthazar first casts magic, and they're like, that's concerning. And like, should we be backing away from Balthazar?
Yeah, those were always very cool. I enjoyed our little submarine bit with Zumbo because I quite like the idea of Balthazar just walking on the ocean floor and just being like, all right, where am I going? And hit with his arcane eye, we had a sub operation.
Yeah, Warforged OP. That's what I've learned over this. Okay, yeah, thank you, Anton. Dilda.
Right, I have a very specific scene in mind for my favorite part of the campaign, and it's from the Christmas one-shot, and it's the second scene, the Jig sleigh chase, which was by far, I think, the most involved we've ever been in any scene.
By far the most stressful point.
You had an actual timer, a real-time timer going, which we took a little while to realise, I think.
Like,
And then
watching that timer was stressing me out. Like moving that sleigh in real time.
Well, we were desperately trying to figure out the puzzle and realised that we needed to declare the end of our turns. So every time we said what we wanted to do, we'd go, end turn! End turn! It was just absolutely frenetic.
Yeah, and Eleanor just you just did not want to end your turn ever.
I just completely forgot every time that you had to end it. Basically, I was just like,
Just be screaming it at you.
Yeah, I think at one point three of us were shouting at you at the same time at one point.
Oh,
So good.
God, it's so
That's
funny.
amazing.
Did it.
It's worth
And that's
finding
the
that
code.
Christmas one shot and just watch that middle scene from it. For God's sake, just go do it. It's so good.
Wonderful. Carl,
I
what's
mean,
your favourite?
as I said, anytime Elle chooses Wild Shape, whenever Pain Train Hiram really gets going.
Yeah.
But as for scenes,
Good
I
thinking.
really enjoyed the fight in the Netherese library when the lights were turned out, and then when we figured out how to illuminate the place. I think that one, everyone got a chance to do something and show how fucking cool they were.
Yeah.
So I loved that fight particularly, but I particularly love all the sort of the role play moments, all the sort of like the interaction that everyone has, like the way you see the particular friendships building and growing. And yeah, and a particular high point if we're going for the Christmas one shot, the blind date-esque.
Yeah.
Little
That bit is
Dipper is still burned into
Little
my...
Whipper.
Little Whipper is still burnt into my mind's eye, and I no matter what I do, I can't get that image out.
I hope
Thanks,
it's
Dan.
very much blurred. I think it is.
Yeah.
It's
blurred.
very much blurred.
Yeah.
I wish more of it was blurred.
We still don't know how he created that image, but I don't think we want to know. So
No, I don't want to know the detail that he went into.
Took a
Dan,
long
But
time.
superimpose a little Whipper on the screen at this point.
Right.
I don't know what we're
Come
talking
there.
about.
Not again.
No,
Oh my god.
not safe. for
Sorry,
work.
we could do like a little, like the snippets and be like, if you watch till the end and subscribe,
That would be
then
so
you
good.
can.
OnlyFans for little Whipper.
We're not doing an OnlyFans for Little Whipper. It's not going to work.
Although I have to say, at the end of this video, you have to have Little Whipper asking people to subscribe.
Oh my.
Oh no, don't do that. He will lose subscribers.
Doing his handstand.
I will unsubscribe.
Doing his
but do you
flips.
do you know who should ask for subscribers?
Go on.
It's Jig. Jig has grown so much since the beginning of this campaign. Like, she went from random NPC to one of the most powerful beings in the universe.
Random NPC who didn't have a name.
Yeah.
The most perfect type of NPC.
Funnily enough, Jig gets mentioned in next episode's Tavern Between Dimensions.
Oh,
and
really?
Anton really doesn't like Jig.
No, listen.
Anton hates Jig.
Listen,
We
why
knew that.
why do you think I retired Magnus? I'm just putting it out there.
But yeah, if you
he
want to
could-
check that one out.
So he could go off and marry Jick. That's
Right. Very easy.
on the just as on the thing on the side, the transition from Magnus to Balthazar. I mean, Magnus was really loved, not known in the YouTube series, but like loved in a very difficult way.
Known as an NPC, I guess, in the YouTube series. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was very important to Catcher, as he sort of like was one of the few people who sort of was the first to forgive her for the tavern incident and
the light arson.
Yeah.
light arson, trace amounts of arson.
And again, the growth there was like, so, you know, from being this very kind of, this is how things are, to kind of opening and seeing different sides of people and, you know, accepting. I think it was a great growth. And then to just go like, oh, actually, I'm done with that. I'm going to try this one instead. And it was like such a juxtaposition of character, and it was work.
He is now kind of bedding a queen. I think we can forgive him for
Listen,
leaving the...
that's fan theory. We don't know that.
Yeah, that
fanfiction.
is a fan
Yeah,
fiction.
we know in our hearts.
That's true.
That mustache.
The real sleuths.
The Henry Cavill face.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There has been a bit of a glow up. I do agree. Yeah.
So before we properly fall off the
Rails.
the safe for work bandwagon, wrap us out, Matt. What's your favourite bit of the campaign been?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got so many. Listening to you guys talk, I've just loads more I've remembered. But the two that I can't choose between, I think, are we mentioned the bath time incident. So I'm playing people who haven't been watching. I'm playing a fathomless warlock who's a pirate who has a crippling fear of water. So yeah, there's that. So a lot of his early story was about getting over this. Well. Firstly, hiding this fear from the rest of the Warhounds out of embarrassment, and then learning to share it with, I think, Hiram mostly. Has been the one that he's trusted with that, and then Hiram helping him overcome it by dunking him in a bathtub.
Which we do not recommend for anyone at home.
Yeah. So what Zumbo's actually done is transferred his trauma onto Hiram and then walked away scot-free.
Perfect.
But he's feeling much better. And my second moment, I think, was the Stag's Deads. I really loved.
Yeah.
I really loved that because we were all doing something cool, and kind of doing our own thing, and then it all just went to pot, and we all had to. We were all split up and had to like. Badger and Zumbo were trying to get Renner out of the bedroom. Katya was frantically trying to talk their way out.
and Hiram's like
Hiram was
ultimate deception.
Yeah.
That was the first and only time I wrote high on deception. That could never happen before. Will never happen again.
Yeah, it was really
Well, that
really
was
fun.
like-
That one.
Because we also had
It was amazing.
Slate doing their best Metal Gear Solid Snake impression. Just
Knocking
knocking out soldiers, putting on their uniforms.
The short from that episode is fantastic.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's fun.
Which one? The mom one or the
No,
one
it's-
where,
it's
the
the-
monster one?
Monster.
Yeah, it's the I have a name, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hurtful.
Yeah.
It's very hurtful.
Yeah, and I got this
I-
outfit. We shouldn't even comment on it. That's where I lost it.
I really loved about that actually was how visceral Dan's description of the monster was actually. It really kind of, you know, without even looking at the screen or anything was going on, like I was kind of seeing this chaotic, like horrific scene, you know, it was so interesting to hear that, like, because my character was doing something completely different from everyone else's, but just listening was like, as a spectator, was like, oh wow, things are happening. It was really interesting. I really liked how descriptive and how well that.
I had a lot of fun running that session. But yes,
Have you first met Renna?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Another important NPC.
Yeah.
yeah. God bless Renna. Oh.
Yeah, who's going to be also very traumatized from now on.
Maybe. Yeah.
Hey,
We'll,
Yeah,
we'll see what comes. We'll see what comes of her over
Therapy.
the next few sessions.
Yes,
I bet-
therapy will come of her.
I
Yes.
bet she's evil. That's the thing, I bet she's secretly evil. What-
Yeah, I reckon she's
Oh,
evil
I
as well.
hope, I
I'm
hope
on
she's
that.
not the BBG.
That would be a turn, wouldn't it?
I
I mean,
Well,
she,
I mean, we saw that Ursula got ate by the mind flayer. Imagine how the mind flayer is going to get eaten by Renna.
God, imagine if she turned out to be the Lich Queen. I would lose my goddamn mind.
Oh my
That would be
god, the Lich Queen.
amazing.
That's another favourite moment. I'm sorry, even actually just the beginning when we started, when we were introducing each other's characters, the different random weird characters that came up.
Keep going.
It's so funny. The mushroom lady.
Oh,
I
the
can't remember the names
interviews,
now.
those were great.
Oh
Oh,
my
Yeah.
god, yeah, the mushroom lady. Oh, no.
The Lich.
Miriam or something like that.
Miriam, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, but
Yeah.
also Slade as
Wendy the
Magnus.
Lich Queen.
Amazing. It was very good.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I think if nothing else, the last kind of 45 minutes have shown that we've certainly had quite a lot of fun playing
Yeah.
this. And for me, I guess kind of the most important thing is that it's been a story that we've all been invested in, that we've all kind of got fond memories of, both kind of from our characters' perspectives, as players' perspectives. I mean, I'm just going to quickly jump in and say, I think the most favourite thing for me about the whole campaign is the fact that I've been able to share it with
Oh.
people. So the fact that I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we can only grow, but the fact that we've already hit 100 subs is massive for me, and
Yeah.
certainly going forward, that we're not going to stop. We're going to keep on going. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you lot are looking forward to it as well.
Wait,
Yes.
we need one last question for you. What
Okay.
was the moment that surprised you the most from this campaign?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We need to know. The people need to know.
That surprised me the most.
Or a character's action that surprised you the most, or yeah.
And it can't be the centipedes. Because that
I was
was
going to say.
Centipedes were pretty cool, weren't they?
Mhm.
Okay. There's two kind of plot points that kind of spring to mind that kind of made the old eyebrows raise a little bit. I think the first one, I should say, they surprised me, but also when the moment I started thinking about it, it was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. The first one was Matt, you coming to me and saying, I've got this idea of a thing between Badger and Zumbo.
Ooh.
Like I wasn't expecting that from a character like Zumbo, but then the moment I started thinking about it, I was just like, oh my god, this is gold. Like absolutely, this perfectly works out. So yeah, I'm really, really happy that you brought that to the table. The other one is that there's a small aspect of Balthazar's story that Anton has provided me that hasn't played out yet.
Oh.
Mm.
And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Cliffhanger.
Because it made me go, oh. And I'm waiting patiently to see what it does to you lot. So
I
yeah,
have no
those
idea what you're talking about. So
yeah, those have been my surprises. I suppose, yeah, if I'm being cheesy, the third surprise is that you lot have stuck with it all for so long, because we're at the end of week 28 as of YouTube, but before that we were playing for 45 weeks. There's like 45 episodes of Arc 1.
about that,
So-
then, could I stop now? Now we've done 100 subs. Could I, get out of the campaign? think I'm done.
No.
No,
Son of a.
you've already
Denied.
you signed the contract now. So
I
sorry,
did.
not sorry.
And you made the devil, write it up, and I had to in game. We had to do the scene, so it counts now. So yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, Dan, if you want to put it that way, like, the sort of stories that you tell are usually so engaging. It's why, again, I showed up for pretty much every single week for nearly 3 years, like, because the stories are so engaging. They're so amazing. That's why we keep coming back.
Sure. You can have inspiration next session, sure.
Okay. What I meant to say, Dan, is it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been
Thank you.
really,
Well, no,
really
I
great,
mean,
and
thank you
everyone
to
as
all you
well.
lot for playing along, and yeah, thank you to you watching for watching. So yeah, big
And for subscribing.
and if you haven't subscribed, you really should, because
What are you looking for?
yeah, right. So with that in mind, we're like, this video is also kind of serving as an opportunity to give Julia a fond farewell. She
sad.
has kind of stuck with the channel. She supported the channel. She supported me. So for that, I'm really, really, really thankful. And yeah, I'm sad that Badger won't be along for the journey, but I'm really, really happy for the time that you have spent with us. So thank you for that.
Likewise, it's been a hoot and playing with you all. And I'm not going anywhere. I mean, you're stuck with me because we live together.
Yeah.
And I'm your unofficial executive producer behind the scenes.
Yes.
So I'm going to carry on doing that, and I'll be involved in various one-shots and things like that.
Yeah,
so
this-
I won't be disappearing
Yeah.
completely.
Disclaimer: if there are any gnarly story points going from here on out, I'm blaming Julia for them. I'm taking responsibility for them.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ham now. Just like, you should do
Let's
this to them.
go Dark Souls. Let's just go, all full Dark Souls.
So Julia, does that mean we have a potential lasers and feelings one shot? In the
Oh, we
future?
should totally do a Lasers of Feelings one shot. Yeah, that would be really fun.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I want to play Catbon again.
Yeah.
so I mean, that kind of brings me on to the next bit. So we've hit 100 subs, hooray! But we're gonna keep going from here on out. So things are changing ever so slightly around the channel. When I started the Explorers of Elso channel, whilst we were playing Dungeons and Dragons primarily, I did want it to be an RPG channel overall. So going forward, we will be changing the release schedule of Cormier. So we'll be releasing 3 episodes weekly and then having a week off and rinse and repeating. We will continue uploading shorts. In that week off, every so often there will be alternate game systems being uploaded, so there'll be a bit more kind of diversity in the games that we're playing. You may well find that some of these lovely chaps or players from beyond the veil jump in to run games, which we'll be hosting here. We've still got the Tavern Between Dimensions, which is releasing every week, and going forward, because I'm feeling so kind and generous, the Cormier episodes will now be uploaded on a Saturday instead of a Sunday.
Ooh.
Yeah, from here on out, you'll have a bit longer over the weekends to watch them, if that's when you watch them. I think that's about it. Thank you, you guys, for kind of sitting in and doing this 100 sub video. Thank you all for watching and supporting. And I think that's a goodbye from me, and I think it's a goodbye from you lot as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye.
Especially for
Bye-bye.
Anton, who literally
Better.
came from a plane.
Yes, yeah, Anton flew in especially. But yes, with that said,
Should we all say it?
And
Okay.
as always,
I'll do it, right? I'll just say it, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so thank you all for watching. Stay safe, and as always,
May the
May the
realm
realms
realms
endure.
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 Yeah. I like that.
Nailed
I like
it.
Slightly-
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.